Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first podcast from the network, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Brandon Garden, aka LEK. This is the first ever live Raw podcast, and honestly, I'm really excited about this. This is the first time that I'm doing a live show in this capacity, so it's really awesome. I hope you guys continue to watch this and continue to support these pages and stuff, though, giving you your wrestling needs and insight from the perspective of the internet. First things first, ladies and gentlemen, Raw was actually not a bad show from the Shy, ladies and gentlemen, my home city. Starts off with Shane McMahon holding it down in a very solid promo, calling Vince out of touch with the business, with the fans popping at it. They're just going at it. They just love the energy that Shane McMahon has brought to WWE, which hasn't been brought in a long time. And plus this promo that he actually has done, it just seems like he hasn't lost. He truly hasn't lost any touch with what he was doing, ladies and gentlemen, and it was really a pleasure to just see him just go at it in the best possible way ever. He mentioned the authority will stop, the chairman's tyrannical reign will stop, addressing the guys in the back who deserve a shot but doesn't have a shot, and seeing that people with no talent gets everything. He also ends it off by saying he doesn't know how, but he will defeat The Undertaker. Then it segues to Mr. McMahon trolling the Chicago audience, utilizing The Undertaker's bell. Then quickly go back into Vince McMahon's music. That was possibly one of the biggest trolls that Chicago crowd has seen since Paul Heyman came out to CM Punk's theme song a couple of years back. That was honestly one of the funniest moments, but it even caught me off guard and pissed me off as a fan. But that was really funny. Vince decided that he was going to write Shane out of his will, which he stated last week, saying that Shane fears The Undertaker by utilizing that bell and that reaction, telling a story about this photo of a baby Shane and Vince McMahon going to a Massachusetts WWE event when Shane was younger. Then he ended up breaking the photo frame of the picture that had Shane and Vince in it. It got really personal with him talking about Shane's own kids, saying that when Shane loses at WrestleMania, his kids are going to see a failure, and also talking about the fact that Shane will be the one to lose, as well as you have his sons. Vince said that his sons is going to actually have a real father figure in Vince, being Shane's kids' grandfather. He also stated, I think this has to be the quote of the night: "My greatest creation will put to rest my greatest failure." That really sucked in a nerve, ladies and gentlemen. Like, honestly, if you think about that, that's just the whole nitty-grittiness of the McMahon family, in a sense where it's just like they will do everything in their power to try to shit on each other, in a sense, to get ratings, which is not a bad idea by any means, but at the same time, it does seem a little bit one of those Jerry Springer episodes where it seems like family versus family and all the craziness that goes around it. But it was a very good segment to start off the show to get the crowd really high and get a very good energy towards the show. I have to admit, Shane ended up attacking the security guards after that segment and stuff. And personally, I thought it was not a bad show, that he can still move. It seemed like he's still agile. It seems like he still got a little bit in the ring. And people are neglecting that, yeah, Shane hasn't been in a WWE ring in 6 years, but the training that he's going to bring in and put in work to, ladies and gentlemen, is just going to build him up even more and more and more. Plus, Shane versus The Undertaker in the Hell in a Cell match, it was Shane being historically a spot junkie in a sense. I'm excited for this match as a whole. I think this could really bring the house down. I think it's just a matter of how they're going to connect the pieces to the storyline, because the issue is, for the first time in a storyline that involves The Undertaker, it seems like The Undertaker is more the odd man out. And when you're the odd man out as a whole when it comes to these particular stories, it may just retract all the attention away. It's just kind of like how I explain. A good example of being the odd man out in the case is like how everybody else during the Alliance storyline was more so kind of like a side piece to the actual McMahons. And this is honestly how it feels when you look at not only this confrontation between Vince and Shane, you're just looking at the whole overall picture, that it's just a McMahon storyline, and The Undertaker is actually not the most relevant person in the storyline. But when you do have The Undertaker in a story, you have to be very careful. And also, it'll make it a lot easier to discover more purpose and more purpose and more purpose throughout the time. We still have 3 weeks left, ladies and gentlemen. Something could easily happen to make this a little bit more interesting. They already laid down a good format so far. It's just a matter of how are they going to build upon that, with WrestleMania being 20 plus days away, ladies and gentlemen. Nonetheless, it's a good plan. Moving forward, you had Kevin Owens versus Neville in a non-title match. A very solid back and forth match that the crowd was into as a whole. Neville and Owens had really great chemistry in the ring. That corkscrew 450 off the second rope, as well as the shooting star press outside the ring. Neville is proving that he has solid spots around him and he can just go with it. But the main thing that made this more interesting is the re-debut of Sami Zayn into the main roster and with that Chicago crowd. Like, as a whole, this is really huge because this has Intercontinental Championship implications, as well as the fact that there has been rumors going around and about stating that you have Kevin Owens possibly going to face off against Sami Zayn at WrestleMania. And if you're a huge fan of Ring of Honor, ladies and gentlemen, this just reignite that rivalry. It was stated that these guys were meant to do this forever. And from Ring of Honor to NXT to the main roster, it's just insane thinking about how much that these guys have been through such an immaculate rivalry, and it's just continuing no matter where they have been. It's amazing to me because sometimes we neglect the chemistry of people as a whole in the ring, and we genuinely neglect the actual chemistry that people have in the ring, which is really wicked. And it's honestly nice and enjoyable to see that these guys are just kicking it into another gear. So now the main roster fans, the casual WWE fans, will actually see what these two are about if they haven't had the chance to watch NXT or they're not too familiar with Ring of Honor, as Kevin Owens back then was referred to Kevin Steen, and Sami Zayn back then was referred to El Generico. Some of the most classic matches, and I think one of the best rivalries of the 21st century in all of professional wrestling. I think Steen versus Generico / Zayn versus Owens is up there with Cena and Punk, Tanahashi versus Okada, Angle versus Joe, Punk versus Hardy. You can bring that Shawn Michaels and Triple H. It's one of those intense rivalries that it's a once in a lifetime thing, and now it's on the grand stage, and it could happen at WrestleMania. It's going to make WrestleMania a lot more interesting, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm excited for that. Also, we had Lana get into some action, ladies and gentlemen. After Summer Rae defeated Brie Bella by distraction from Lana actually hit Brie with the Bella Buster, which is the face buster move, or the X Factor, or whatever you like to call it. And it's about time that we actually get to see Lana in the ring, because Lana has been a manager or a valet to Rusev and Dolph Ziggler over the past 2.5 years, and it just seems like she was there as a manager, had a purpose, and at one point it wasn't really going anywhere after the Rusev Lana split. Then Dolph Ziggler came into the picture, and that was kind of messy. Then you had the whole reveal on TMZ of Rusev and Lana's engagement, and it just got messy from there. But Brie Bella and Lana having a feud, I don't know where this is actually going to go to, but I hope it can lead to a debut of Lana in the ring, potentially at Roadblock. But it'll probably happen at WrestleMania or Raw down the road. I feel that with Lana having her first match at WrestleMania, I feel that could honestly set her up for failure. I know she's an athletic woman, but what really scares me is that it's a grand stage situation, and for what I understand, there's going to be multiple women's matches at the WrestleMania pay-per-view, with obviously Sasha Banks, Charlotte, and Becky Lynch doing a triple threat match for the Divas Championship, which I have high hopes and expectations of, because progressively the women's matches have gotten better since Charlotte has held the Women's Divas Championship. Believe me, watching Charlotte in the ring, on average, by the star ratings, the matches have been at least a 3-star affair, except for the Fastlane match, which I believe was a 2.5-star match. But nonetheless, you got to think about it as this: Lana and Brie Bella, they just have to find their footing. I just feel like this rivalry just really came out of nowhere as a whole, and it just seems like, where is this going? Lana seems to be bullying Brie. Brie came up with a comeback. Lana is kind of salty about the situation. It kind of goes back to the whole women are a petty stereotype and can't learn to let stuff go, and it leads to conflict and more conflict and bickering, and it just seems like it's not really going anywhere. I hope that there's more to this, because if there is more to this, this will lead to a lot of potential that can go down the line with the storyline. Until then, this storyline is really much a wait and see process. In addition to Lana making an impact by doing a face buster on Brie Bella, we had Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch defeating the former Team Bad members of Naomi and Tamina in a Fastlane rematch, which they didn't match up with the same intensity as the Fastlane opening match, which I thought was a pretty solid tag team match. All 4 of them are very good workers, and they have a very solid chemistry with each other. I love to see more of Naomi and Tamina as singles competitors, because this team bad thing is holding both of their abilities back. But Sasha and Becky Lynch as of the four horsewomen of NXT facing off against Charlotte, I have really high hopes about this match, like I said earlier. But it's just a matter of how long are they going to let them go. Because I think they can hold it down for at least 15, 20 minutes in the ring. I hope so, wishful thinking, but I genuinely hope that they can really hold it down. And that they let them just do what they do best, and that's wrestle. Also, Dean Ambrose and Triple H had a promo. Like, Dean Ambrose was on fire with his promo. He's talking about he want to mess up the landscape of WrestleMania. He wants to be the WWE champion. And at this point, ladies and gentlemen, Roadblock could easily be the pay-per-view special, the network special that could actually shape up the entire foundation of WWE right now. Because if Dean Ambrose wins the WWE Heavyweight Championship of the world, there's a lot of potential outcomes with WrestleMania that could easily happen. There's 3 outcomes I can think of. If Dean Ambrose wins, it could either be Dean Ambrose versus Roman Reigns for the WWE Heavyweight Championship of the world, having Roman Reigns becoming a heel, having the perfect WrestleMania moment for Reigns to turn heel, or even have Triple H come into the picture with it being a triple threat match between these 3, because I think they could easily hold the house down. But I feel that a Roman Reigns Dean Ambrose match, it would be the second time that these 2 have faced off in a singles match that had championship implications. But it would be the second time that a triple threat match was involved with both of these men. But let's not forget, ladies and gentlemen, Dean Ambrose is capable. He is capable of carrying the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. If you look back at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, Dean Ambrose, we thought, won the match cleanly. But a swerve by a quote-unquote dusty finish led to Seth Rollins retaining the championship at the Elimination Chamber. In my opinion, Dean Ambrose was the WWE champion. But at that moment, with that reaction of him winning the championship, it shows that he could honestly walk out and represent the company as the anti-hero. People want to compare Dean Ambrose to Stone Cold Steve Austin. People want to compare him to Brian Pillman. People want to compare him to Cactus Jack. But what people are neglecting is that Dean Ambrose is his own entity. And he's doing his own thing, and he's authentic. He's, as a wrestler, has upped his game from his Shield days and trying to separate himself as a person from the Shield. Same with Seth Rollins. That's the problem with what a lot of people, I think a lot of fans have with Roman Reigns, is that sometimes people don't necessarily believe the character you're trying to portray, especially when people consider you on a promo-to-promo basis the weakest link of the trio. But I do like Roman Reigns. It's just a matter of who will he be waiting for at the pay-per-view. Hopefully, it will be something that does involve Dean Ambrose, because I believe that if Bray Wyatt and Brock Lesnar having this match at Roadblock, I personally believe that having this rivalry happen at Roadblock, and by some odd nature, there could easily be a continuation. What happens between the Brock Lesnar Bray Wyatt match at Roadblock this Saturday will determine the implications of the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match. If by some magical miracle that Bray Wyatt does win at Roadblock, this rivalry is not over. There's no way that Bray Wyatt could just win at Roadblock and there's nothing after that. Because if we think about Brock Lesnar as a character, he's more of a vengeful individual. He doesn't give a rat's you-know-what about the safety and the protection of others. He's the mayor of Suplex City. He will suplex you X amount of times. But Bray Wyatt clearly is the person that I feel that should be the one rivaling with Brock Lesnar. And it's said in multiple news sources on the internet that Brock Lesnar was displeased that him and Bray Wyatt weren't going to be actually wrestling at WrestleMania. And as a fan, I really do agree with the displeasure of that, because when you have a guy like Bray Wyatt, it just seems that he knows how to just make purpose out of anything that's given to him. That's when you know a character is good, ladies and gentlemen. If you have a good character like Bray Wyatt, you run with it. I feel that Bray Wyatt, this particular road to WrestleMania season, has been getting the short end of the stick in so many occasions, because at the Royal Rumble, I personally felt that he should have won the WWE Heavyweight Championship. I felt like Bray Wyatt with the WWE Championship would add a lot more intrigue to who would face him, because Reigns and Wyatt, if you have if the rivalry is renewed between them two, it wouldn't be a big deal because they have history. Bray Wyatt did say anybody but you. And what better way to point out anybody but you by taking the one thing in this professional wrestling business that means more to Roman than anything in the world. And that's the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Personally, if it was up to me, if Daniel Bryan wasn't retired and if he was able to compete, I felt like Wyatt versus Bryan would be a hell of a WrestleMania main event. But Bray Wyatt is that character that can make purpose out of anything. And having a cultivating character like that with the WWE Championship makes it a lot easier. Because we have to think about it as this, ladies and gentlemen. An alarming stat when it comes to the past 4 WrestleManias. 28, 29, 30, 31. A part-time wrestler has participated in a main event match. The Rock participated in WrestleManias 28 and 29, with 28 him winning against John Cena and 29 him losing his third WWE Championship defense at a WrestleMania event. Just saying, ladies and gentlemen, The Rock and WWE Championship matches just don't mix. Moving forward. Also, WrestleMania 30, Batista was a part-timer competing in a WWE Championship match. But then again, if we're going to go on with the whole part-timer thing, we can also count Chris Jericho in the mix, though, because a part-timer has competed in a WWE Championship match over the past 4 WrestleManias. That's an alarming rate. And ladies and gentlemen, we need longevity to maintain the actual roster, because it just seems like with more part-timers in the mix, like nothing against Triple H, because he's a dedicated man and he genuinely loves his business, but at the same time, it doesn't make any sense for him to actually have the championship. I get that Roman Reigns attacked him, but that match by itself, you don't necessarily need the championship involved in it. Although it's kind of about the championship, but it could be done a lot lot more better. And it just seems that the championship being on the line in the match between Roman Reigns and Triple H doesn't necessarily make the fans happy. If it was just a non-title match, personally, what I would have done is that Roman Reigns, The Rock, and the Usos face off between Triple H, Rusev, Sheamus, and King Barrett from the League of Nations. That would have been a hell of a 4-on-4 match, especially having Roman's family with the whole Samoan pride and the history of it, as well as having Triple H. You're not only bringing in a generational thing for the fans in a nostalgic moment, but at the same time, you're putting a very huge match with Family Dynasty, one of the best rivalries of the Attitude Era, a current rivalry that goes with Roman Reigns versus the Authority and Roman Reigns versus the League of Nations. It's just bringing more into the table. It just seems like there's not much more that could be better than that. And having the WWE title on Triple H and having Reigns being the heir apparent to become the next WWE champion is going to make it a lot worse, ladies and gentlemen. I just personally hope that it gets better. So, Roadblock is going to be the most interesting thought of the very foundation of professional wrestling, ladies and gentlemen. It's rather exciting thinking about it, but at the same time, it's quite nerve-wracking in a sense, because what can you do? Next up in the actual event, ladies and gentlemen, we ended up having also Kalisto, the United States champion, defeating Tyler Breeze. Ryback confronting Kalisto, saying that Kalisto should break away from the Lucha Dragons as well as going out on his own, which I personally don't think it's a bad idea. I think that Ryback is going to be involved with the United States Championship match at some point, whether it's Roadblock or WrestleMania is going down the line. It just seems that Ryback is trying to get into the championship picture in some way. Then Dean Ambrose ended up facing off against Bray Wyatt in a rivalry renewed that was affecting all of the 2014 landscape since Hell in a Cell of that particular year. But this time, Bray Wyatt and Dean Ambrose fought to what I believe was a no contest. Triple H tries to interfere in the match, and as Triple H interferes in the match, Ambrose retaliates. Ambrose makes a statement, holds the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, which is a familiar scene, and I feel that they're playing the story so well. But I feel with the little preparation that Roadblock has been, Triple H and Dean Ambrose, their storyline is actually making it a lot easier to want to watch the Roadblock event. Because I think what people are neglecting right now is that I think this is going to be an awesome event, but I'm actually kind of scared for Roman Reigns right after this event is over. I'll elaborate. The more that Dean Ambrose is over in this event, it's going to potentially hurt Roman Reigns, because unless Triple H does something really heinous to put Dean Ambrose out of the picture, period, by retaining the WWE Heavyweight Championship, Roman Reigns is probably going to get heat throughout the rest of the WrestleMania, road to WrestleMania, which is not. I feel that WWE should have learned their lesson the first time around with Roman Reigns winning the Royal Rumble last year. he had good momentum coming into the Royal Rumble this year, but it just seemed that it wasn't going to go anywhere. And Dean Ambrose losing at this pay-per-view in any way is just going to hurt Roman unless Roman Reigns has figured out, not Roman Reigns, unless Triple H does something to try to make Roman Reigns seem like the sympathetic figure, because at this point it just seems like nobody gives or believes in the hype of Roman Reigns. It just seems that what Roman Reigns being in the main event picture is coming off forced. Although Roman Reigns is a talented individual in the ring, it just seems that it's coming off very forced, and it doesn't necessarily help that it's just bringing him down and down, and more fans are going to start to hate him, and more fans are going to resent that, because it seems like he's the chosen poster boy, where it seems like more people from top to bottom just wants more out of the fan base. They just want more. It just seems like they're getting a Cena 2.0 and they're not appreciating the actual talent. And although Roman Reigns is a good talent, do I think he's personally ready? I think he's ready. But sometimes the most popular opinion should actually matter. So Dean Ambrose entering WrestleMania as WWE champion or losing at Roadblock, no matter what, this is going to hurt Roman Reigns unless they plan something for him further along the lines, because at this point, maybe him being a babyface is not the biggest idea. Roman Reigns' character as a whole, the no nonsense, I don't have to talk to people, I'm just came here to beat the crap out of people character, is perfect for him. You don't need anything else. Maybe having a mouthpiece to help him out or something, but still, Roadblock is going to be huge upon all implications of WrestleMania, because as of now, there's only 3 matches that are confirmed for the Roadblock event. Also, shout outs to Royal Blood, because I heard the theme song for it, which is All the Black, and I'm excited for it because it's one of my favorite bands. But Triple H and Dean Ambrose will face off for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. The revival from NXT of the team of Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson will face off against Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy for the Tag Team Championships at Roadblock in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Personally, ladies and gentlemen, I do not think that Enzo and Cass are going to win the championships. I think that they're eventually going to make their debut on Raw, whether it's after Roadblock or post WrestleMania. It's going to happen because they need somebody to rival with the New Day, with Kalisto having his singles championship career, as well as there's not enough tag teams right now that really stack up to the prominence that the New Day has brought. Although the Usos are really the next best thing, we already seen them as champions, and nothing against the Usos. It just seems that we don't necessarily, me as a fan, it just seems like there should be new blood in the tag team division. And what we saw in the past, from the 80s to even the late turn of the 21st century, of the start from like 2009, we had very solid tag teams. And right now, it just seems that you got one tag team that overshadows everybody else. Then you got the Usos, which it's just like you got the people who like them and you have the people who don't. The Lucha Dragons are there, but Kalisto's doing his solo career, so Kalisto and Sin Cara is not going to be teaming up as much. Then you have the Ascension, who were the mainstays of NXT, but now they've been considered a joke by the internet community, as well as the Los Matadores. Yeah, it's just bringing up Enzo and Colin Cassidy will help them a lot more. And I don't expect Death Revival to lose the NXT Tag Team Championships at the Roadblock pay-per-view. I expect them to lose at the TakeOver Dallas special, which will be on April Fool's Day of WrestleMania weekend against American Alpha of Jason Jordan and Chad Gable. I expect them to lose the titles then. But losing it at Roadblock, I don't think that's actually going to happen. In addition to that, you have Brock Lesnar versus Bray Wyatt. As I said before, Brock Lesnar versus Bray Wyatt will have a lot of WrestleMania implications. If Brock Lesnar makes quick work out of Bray Wyatt, which I highly doubt that the WWE is going to let that happen, I personally think that this match is going to be at least 10 minutes long. About 10 minutes. You need just a little bit of time to just let it all gel, because if you think about it, Brock Lesnar is pissed that he lost his opportunity to win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship when he was actually the clear-cut favorite to win the entire Royal Rumble. You have the whole Wyatt family coming after him, but as I said before, Brock Lesnar and Bray Wyatt, that match is going to determine the whole entire spectrum of what WrestleMania 32 pay-per-view is going to be all about. We won't necessarily know how it's going to happen. We're not going to know why it's going to happen, but that match will determine the very foundation of what WrestleMania's main event is going to be. Other than that, I feel that this pay-per-view special is going to be a fun one, with these three matches having a lot of implications over the weekend of WrestleMania. We don't know any further matches, ladies and gentlemen, but at the network talks, at all the sites like World Wrestling Society, WWE Network, and the Wrestling Network websites from Facebook, we will be doing our best to update you on further matches that will be coming up for the Roadblock event, as well as other news from NXT, Ring of Honor, and any other spoiler alerts that is coming to you as well. My name is Brandon Gordon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the first live stream by yours truly, holding it down for the World Wrestling Society podcast, signing out. And since I'm in the mood to play some music, I'm going to play the theme song of your WWE Roadblock pay-per-view. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you get a chance to like the page. Follow me on Twitter at Brandon Illyric G, which I should put on the link just to give everybody the heads up. And also continue to follow the page. Support wrestling, ladies and gentlemen. This is what it's all about. So that's what I'm here for. Thank you guys. Signing off, your kid. Holla at you.